This is Sari Schiff with episode 2 of Mind Your Job. Today we're going to be talking to Sam Shapiro again, and today's topic is interviewing. It's not such an exciting topic, but it's very important as you sort of navigate your job future. One of the things that you definitely want to be aware of is how you come off in an interview with your own perspective on your job, but also your knowledge of another company's culture, sort of what their goals are, what they're looking at, and all those exciting things. So, we're not going to get too much into the weeds here, but we're going to give you some really good tips on how you can make your interview process more fruitful for your future. Take it away, Sam.
Oh, Sari, thanks so much. So interviewing is a skill, just like anything else, and you're not born knowing how to do it. And there are people who are so good at their jobs, but cannot interview or don't do well on the interview. So it's really important to prepare, not just what you can do and how to talk about your own experience and how your experience relates to the job, but make sure you do a good job researching the company. I once had a candidate who the very last question that the interviewer asked was, "What's our mission statement?" And it was right on the front page of their website, and thankfully they knew it. But you never know what they're going to ask because they want to make sure that you're not just looking for a job, you are looking for the job with their company. So make sure that you are doing your due diligence to research everything and be prepared to explain why you want to work for them.
Agreed. And another thing I think might stump people along the way is an interviewer will ask what your strengths and weaknesses are.
Yes.
Everybody has strengths and weaknesses. You have to be able to sort of be vulnerable to say, well, my weakness is I'm not the most organized, or my weakness is I'm not the best with follow through. Because what the company will do is they'll do one of two things. They will give you tips and tricks on how to be more organized because growth is why you're at that company. It's not you're
Definitely.
not just there to be there. You're there to grow, and you have to be able to identify the things that you can grow into. The other thing with strengths is don't be too arrogant and cocky. My strengths
Correct.
are this. My
Mhm.
strength is being able to command people in a room when I talk. My strength is to be able to follow up with people. My sense of urgency is my strength. Find something that is, don't have everything be your strength.
Mhm.
Focus on one thing. Try to make it, after you look at the website, be in alignment with what the company's sort of culture is about,
And values.
and being really on top of it is a thing. Another part of interviewing that I see not a lot of people doing it is write a thank you note. I
Yes.
know it's implied, but I would write a thank you note. Maybe in that thank you note, definitely talk about a moment that you had in the interview where there was maybe a personal thing discussed by each of you,
Mhm.
and put that back in the thank you note, like how'd your daughter do in her soccer game, or I hope your wife made a delicious dinner for you that night. Something very light, don't get too heavy, but sort of just like recanting that you do remember the conversation. The thank you note should be coming 24 hours or less after the interview. You can't send a thank you note out a week later. You will
Yeah.
not be hired. You really have to cue in on the immediacy of it. They're probably interviewing 10 to 12 people, and you want to be standout waiting a week. You're already done. They've already made their choice.
In addition to that, everyone knows, yes, proofread. Have somebody else proofread your thank you note. And here's why. You are writing your thank you note, you're addressing certain things, you might be excited, you might be going fast, you might type a word that is a word, but not appropriate. For example, instead of typing out "I feel that," you say "I fell that." Well, that's a typo and that's a problem, and your eyes might not catch it, but somebody else's will. So I don't I don't think it's a terrible idea just to have another pair of eyes look at it before you hit the send button.
No, I agree. And I think a lot of things with interviewing are the small details.
Yeah.
You're trying to build a case for a boulder in your future of growth and development. It's the small things that get you to the boulder. It is not
Mm-hmm.
a boulder. It is not one reason. The other thing I would also want to know in interviewing is if you weren't picked as a candidate, I would go back to the person that interviewed you and say, what are some of the things that you were looking for that I missed on? that I didn't
Mhm.
talk about, just to grow your own self. Feedback is a wonderful thing. It is not a horrible thing. The most bright, best possible people learn from their mistakes. Well,
Mhm.
if you don't know what your mistakes are, it's hard to be learning from them. So definitely be asking for that feedback. And I would even in the interview, like, what is it that you're looking for before you're done? Do I,
Mhm.
would I be a good candidate for this? Why or why not? It's a great
Right.
question. It really means that you're mindful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One thing that I wanted to also touch on is there are different kinds of interviews right now. There's the in person, there's the video, and there's the phone. Of those three interviews, I think the hardest one is the phone interview. And that's because all you have is your voice. They don't see, the interview will not see you nodding your head, talking along. There's no social cues for them to know that you are following along or have any other questions. All you have is your voice. So when you are answering questions, you don't want to go on ad nauseum. You don't want to talk their ear off. Answer their questions succinct, 2 to 3 sentences. If you have more to say and you want to know if they need more information, you say, does that answer your question? Or do you want me to expand on that? Make sure that you have their attention and that you're not talking on and on. The other thing is, make sure you're smiling. It sounds so silly, but they will hear your smile through the phone. So it's just so important that you continue to keep that up. The other thing is, when you are doing a video interview, have your camera on, have the background be clean. If you need to blur the background because your house is messy, mine is, that's okay. But make sure that you are presenting as though you are in person. Look professional, have a nice suit on, a nice blouse on, and make sure that your background is clear.
Take a few seconds to make yourself be presentable. Your hair, if
Yes.
you're a woman, put a little bit of blush on. Those things do make a difference. Companies usually like people who are well groomed and well presentable because you are going to be at some point representing a company. So you should be putting your best foot forward first. Your brand is yourself and what you convey to people in the world. So you should be doing the same thing when you're doing an interview.
Agreed. And yet, don't let your guard down. Stay professional.
Stay professional. Like I said, if you have a quick conversation about, like, if they ask you, do you have kids? Or they talk about their families and a kid has a soccer game or something, nicely mention maybe as an afterthought in your thank you note,
Mm-hmm.
like, hope your daughter won her soccer game.
Correct.
That's sort of like you're linking it back to your conversation, that you're conscious of their family and
Mm-hmm.
that you had that conversation. The other thing I would also be talking about in an interview is succession planning for the job that you are working for. So you have an idea of, like, are you in a dead end job? Is this a one and done thing? You know,
Mm-hmm.
are you going to be able to move up? How does it look
Yes.
like? I would ask how their review process goes annually. Are you allowed to, in your review process, talk about your own personal aspirations within
Mm-hmm.
that company? Not, once you've been there for a period of time, you're going to have a good idea of, like, where you want to go. Look, recruiting is expensive. It costs companies billions of dollars a year. The average person stays with a company anywhere from 9 to 14 months ever. And then they move
Yeah.
on to the next thing. Companies want to keep you. So if you want to be, if you like what you see with culture and you want to be a longer term employee and grow with a company, those are questions you ask right away when you get in the interview. Is like, hey, okay, great. I love the idea and the opportunity of working for this company, but I really want to know where my growth here is going to be. Am I going to be able to grow, or am I going to stay?
Mm-hmm.
What is this, just like, my entry level job and I'm going to move somewhere else?
Sure. A question that I like is, when you are interviewing, you can say to them, because they want this hire to be successful just as much as you do, like Sari said, what is something I will need to have accomplished in the first 3 to 6 months that will make me a successful hire?
Definitely. Another thing I also think that is interesting with some of these company goals, things that they're looking at, is will there be mentorship? A good question is, will there be mentorship? Will you have a mentor
Mm-hmm.
in the company? Who is your mentor? Is your mentor going to be, your mentor should really not be your direct boss. Your mentor should be somebody sort of outside that field. And that should be somebody who's able to give you some of this very good information about how to grow with a company.
Mm-hmm.
Mentorship is
Mm-hmm.
extremely important, no matter whether you're in the dental field, whether it's
Mm.
an office job, a medical job. You need a mentor. You're
Absolutely.
new to it, somebody's been doing it for a long time.
Construction. Yeah.
ABL, always be learning.
Oh, very nice. The OCD in me does not like that you went from B to L, but I hear what you're saying.
Well, we're not ABC, always be closing.
Right,
So we're
exactly.
ABL,
Yeah,
always be learning.
right, absolutely.
I feel like we are always here to talk to or prep
Yeah,
you if you want to talk to us before you do
absolutely.
an interview. Definitely ask you some more questions and get you going in the right direction so that you can be your most successful, your most happy in your job journey. We can't wait to talk to you. Next time, we'll be talking about contracting. Have an amazing day.
Mind your job.